Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Trackman44 here. Hey, I'm down at the lake property where my daughter's house is, but I'm kind of doing a little bit of repair work to the old case, getting ready to do a little bit of tree work. Got some stumps to dig out, some small trees to dig out, and just a little bit of loader work. But I had to come down to repair this hydraulic fitting. These two fittings right here on either side of the boom cylinders are swivel fittings. So every time the boom goes up or goes down, in order to keep from having to have a monstrously huge loop in your hydraulic line, these swivel back and forth like this with the raise and lowering of the boom. Okay, well, inevitably these things are going to wear somewhat. The bad thing is they might even eventually wear through the stem, necessitating replacing the entire hydraulic assembly. Fortunately, this here was not. It was just the O-rings that flattened out after millions of operations. So I had to pull this apart, and I had to take it up to the hydraulic repair shop, and they slipped me in a pair of O-rings. And we were going to replace the nitrile bushings, but they didn't have any in stock. Now what that is, a nitrile bushing usually goes on the outside. If your pressure enters the center like it does on here and needs to go that direction to provide function to another hydraulic cylinder, and also this direction because it's pressure coming in off of the hydraulic pump, pressure is going both directions. So what they have is a nitrile bushing that takes up a little bit of space inside that groove where the O-ring sets, so that it keeps that O-ring scrunched up and fairly tight. Without the nitrile bushing, it'll flatten out in pretty much no time, and it'll blow those O-rings out. But at any rate, I did not have those. These had a little bit of a nick in them, I guess, from me disassembling, I don't know. But he did not have them to replace, so we just put new O-rings in, and it's ready to rock and roll. And it feels nice and tight. It's no longer moving back and forth like it was before. And at the same time, I put a new snap ring in. But I kept the old snap ring up here just in case there's an issue or a problem, because these are low quality Chinese snap rings that I got in a snap ring kit. One of the things that made this old case series an exemplary backhoe, of course, the people that are fond of the case backhoes, like to brag on them. But what makes it really, really cool is the fact that they don't have one single boom cylinder. They have actually dual 4-inch cylinders, one on either side, exerting pressure up there. It gives a tremendous amount of force, and really does a really, really good job. And it transfers that force to two different points instead of having a single point with a single cylinder like the old Fords have. As you well know, there's many ways of doing the same thing. And on these loaders, if they're not fitted with the factory hooks and everything, for commercial carrying on job sites and everything, they're a fancy S, really large 3/4-inch material, maybe 5/8 inch material, as well as to the outside edge of the bucket. Well, if you don't have that kind of a setup, what I've done in the past, as you can see right here, is not relying on the thickness of the bucket itself. I think this steel is only 5/16 steel, but instead of relying on just the thickness of the steel and all the flex that would be exerted, or that would more than likely happen to the bucket under heavy loads, because we do a lot of log loading, we load a lot of dead tractors, we do a lot of heavy lifting with these things, and we lift on offset on one side of the bucket or the other side of the bucket in order to get into a load, and also we lift from the center of the bucket. But at any rate, you'll see what I do is I take a 1/2-inch steel plate and I go ahead and beef up the entire bucket where the hooks are going to be by welding that skip welding that 1/2-inch plate in place, then weld my hooks to that right there. And if you notice, I've got a hook in the middle. That's going to be for a chain, but if you use nylon chokers, and sometimes we use 20,000-pound nylon chokers and they're very thick. If you use a nylon choker and you slip it down inside this, what happens is eventually, in very no time at all, you'll begin wearing on that nylon material, and that ends up derating the capacity to an unknown level as you begin deteriorating those eyelets on the ends of the nylon chokers. So what I've done is I put a slip hook in the middle so that I can use the nylon chokers on this nice rounded slip hook here and not take a chance of damaging my chokers, on this hook here, this grab hook or whatever. This hook is for a chain. This hook here is for the softer material. But I do have, grab hooks or chain hooks on the outside corners of both buckets, and they too are on 1/2-inch plate. Now what I've done, I take a piece of lintel iron, which is 3x5 by 1/2 inch, and I went ahead and mounted that to the bucket right here, and then took an old 2 5/16 ball that had boogered up threads and drilled a hole through it, and drilled at the back side, and then welded the front side of that ball. And so then I can come into the gooseneck, just roll the bucket, slide right into a gooseneck trailer, pick it up, and then just drive forward, just move it around wherever I need to do. It's really handy. It's not unlike the setup that I built for the front of the forks on the Kubotas or on the skid steer. Just gives you that maneuverability. And this here, you can just stand up in the seat and just drive right in underneath there and just pick up the gooseneck and just push it right out of the way. Push or pull it wherever you need to go. Well, I got it pretty well greased up, and we're just about ready to get with it in the morning, you know, and do a little bit of digging up there. And of course, that should make a halfway decent video. If not, we'll get one sooner or later. Just hang in there, you know. You might get to see something halfway decently. Probably won't be with me on the tractor, you know, but eventually you'll get to see something nice. And you know what? This is Tractor Man 44, and I'm out of here, guys.